lobbying the state. Senator Bailey and Representatives Hayes and Smith are going to be down south here on Saturday for their meeting before this time closes for the legislator. And they want to know right now what's going on because they're planning ahead. Skagit came here to the island before, years ago. You know, if that's going to be if that's an option,
explore it.
Yeah.
It's going to take legislative leadership to get Skagit to the table. It's not our boards that is not able to do that. You know, there's going to need to be legislative leadership that forces that partnership because it's not happening with our requests and it's not happening naturally, and they're running their system at a very profitable level. And although they benefit from our citizens going into Skagit County, they're not taking responsibility for any of that transport. And so that has fallen to us. And, you know, again, we, up until now, have operated a fare-free system, and we're in a rebuilding time period. So we're the organization least able to supplement Skagit's system. I mean, there's some stuff there, and it's relationship stuff, and sometimes you just need the higher power players to come in and put people at the table, which you know.
I'll see what I can do. You know me.
Thank you, Joe.
I had some questions for Joe. If we were to go to a fare system, it's my understanding that we have to give the state some of what's collected in the fare box.
I think I can help. The way Paul explained it, our financial analyst, is that we, Paul reimburses, sends for a reimbursement request for the funds. If we charge a fare, that amount will be deducted from what the state, from what we get back.
Okay, so basically 100% of what's charged at the fare box is going to get taken out of the grant money coming back?
I don't know for sure. I can't say if it's 100%, but that's my understanding is how it's going to work.
So basically, what we'd be dealing with in order to keep the 411 going and continue to get money from the state, we'd be charging a fare which is going to cost us so that we can get money from the state. Just as an example, I was looking at this comparison for similar sized transits, and Grant Transit is about the closest, well not Grant, Grace Harbor is about the closest in hours. And their total fare box recovery ratio is 7.63%. So
what does that mean?
What that means is, if I'm reading this correctly, it means that 7.63 cents on every dollar is what is actually being recovered by the transit agency. Is that an accurate?
93 cents goes where?
To administer. So basically, if we were giving money back to the state because we're collecting a fare and we're having to incur these costs, so it's actually costing us to charge a fare, but we're getting the money back from the state via a grant, or not a grant because it's actually in the legislative program. But is that making sense?
No.
Well, it's less money that the state would then we'd be taking from the state.
Right.
So
right.
That's our initial understanding of this,
okay.
But we can follow up with Paul. He's still learning this process too because
right.
we haven't been in it. So
right.
This is the initial information that we're
But we're kind of in a caught between a rock and a hard spot because the legislature is going to be very hesitant to give us any money if we don't charge a fare. And if we charge a fare, we're not going to make any money off. Yeehaw. Okay.
That's something else to keep in mind. I always put this
and
information
about our raises for the people.
I always put this information out there. We could be here no matter what we decide to do this year. This time next year, we may be back here again, you know, saying, hey, you gotta talk to your legislator, try to keep the route going. I mean, so that's another thing that we seriously have to think about. If we put all this together and then a year from now, you know, nobody's made us any promises that either the 411 or the 412 are gonna keep going if we do get the 412 started up. So we could, a year from now, I mean, we could be right back here. So that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. You know, it's a big startup cost, and then, you know, what happens if those two routes go away?
So if they do go away, how do you think that's gonna affect you financially? Take a big hit?
So
Destabilize?
I'll let Jill, she's on the
Just check it.
The 411 route is funded well, and it allows for administrative overhead costs to administer it. So losing that money is a hit. I mean, not just for the route, but it also has some operational costs associated with it that are beneficial to us. To just cut the routes outside of that admin percentage that we're able to take off, I mean, you can be budget neutral, but we don't want to cut the routes if we don't have Skagit providing that service. And so probably what we would do is just reduce the routes to a level of service we could afford on the 411, and the 412, which we've cut before, on Camino Island might be a different conversation. So I think, I mean, the connector routes, the funding for those connector routes is significantly important. They're not routes we're able to absorb with our normal operations funds easily. And we certainly couldn't absorb the same level of service we have right now, from my understanding of the budget. And but this is a sales tax driven program, so the more you shop, the more we have to spend.
Exactly. Actually, was going to also ask, you mentioned veterans riding that route. They looked at, are you talking like more to Mount Vernon, to the VA?
Yes.
Because they can get disabled American veterans rides as well.
Yes and no.
No, I know it's limited.
The,
No, it's limited.
the
It's not-
VA
it's
van
not
leaves at
consistent.
like 5:30 in the morning from Safeway, and we'll drive through Mount Vernon if there's somebody there to pick up, you know, or if you request to get off there. So you would arrive in Mount Vernon probably about, you know, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then if you are counting on that to get back, by the time they get down to Seattle and leave somewhere about 1 o'clock from Seattle to
Oh,
get
it's a
back
long
here.
day.
Exactly. Exactly, but can we improve upon that? That's one of my things I'm working with
And let me
Senator
just-
Bailey and the VA about, see if we can, what can we do about that?
Increase vans, drivers,
Some-
whatnot,
yeah.
just to help supplement. That's my only.
Anything about that
Same veterans, just-
program,
Yeah.
it's all volunteer driver.
I know, they're
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's all
They're wonderful.
driver.
I'm a disabled
Sometimes,
vet.
sometimes the drivers not show up, sometimes sick,
Yeah.
are you out the appointment?
Well,
I that experience that.
that comes down to the volunteer
Yeah,
group that you have. I mean,
yeah. They're awesome. They're awesome, you know, no doubt, but if, but I get you with having to go down there and spend that many hours down there. I'm not against fare collection, but I am while we're still mismanaging our money. End of story.
One of our board members is the Human Services Director for Island County, and she sits on the board as the Cookville Town Council member. But she's looking and working on ways that you can maybe use Medicaid reimbursement for certain eligible routes and what would be involved in that. And so there's a lot of moving conversations, which I know like gets confusing when you come to different board meetings because you hear a conversation go one way, you come to another meeting going a different way. It's a lot of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks right now, but everybody's looking at who are the populations that we're trying to serve, what funding sources are available to supplement the system that we have now, and to make sure that we're leveraging each dollar as far as it can go. But it's a process, and so in the meantime, we're still, you know, we're behaving the same way a little bit. Where's our state grant? How do we, you know? But we're also looking forward. If those things do fall apart, what other opportunities and options do we have?
It's like you're saying, plan A, B, and C.
Right, and
We're
so,
on A.
right, we put all our eggs in the A basket. But we talk about the B and C basket, just not, we don't want to talk about it too much because we like, you know, we like to keep the pressure on our legislators.
Well, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's complicated, and I know that, you know, the woman who said that you only have so much money, she left, and I sure get that. And I guess the thing that's hard to remember is that, you know, government, which seems like this really big, rich thing, is just a reflection of the contributions people make. And so every service that people want has to get paid for some way. And there's escalating costs in government, just like there's escalating costs at your home. And so you can't continue to fund an organization at the same service level with the exact same resources. And so we need to begin to look for additional ways to say, where are there revenue streams to provide the services that people expect from the organization? And, you know, and I understand that for folks on a fixed income, it feels like they're just taking money right out of your paycheck to supplement something else, but the cost of the services go up, and we have to figure out how to pay for them, and it's just tough all the way around. I think the comment is there's no such thing as a free lunch or ride.
Why you can't get talk to the Social Security, like Mount Vernon?
I gotta go, I'll call you
They go,
tomorrow.
every time they got
Call
a
you
car,
tomorrow at 7, okay?
wipe it, go to the Social
Thanks.
Security office.
Yeah,
Why you can't do that?
we're poor.
Well, I don't believe that.
Okay.
I don't believe that because when it's the Sky start that program, I question that.
Yeah.
And they says, it works.
We're also a rural
It
county.
works.
We're also a rural county, and so there are some differences in level of service, right? When you're in an urban area, you have a higher population concentration going closer different distances to services. We have a lower population base traveling a farther distance for service. And so what the volume we need to offset those startup costs
That's what I say.
is
Go to
different
Social
than what
Security.
Mount Vernon needs.
Those
So,
people that got Social Security, they can pay it. I'm paying it automatically. No whether I can stay here or go to Wisconsin, I still double paying. I paid $20 a week for my ride.
Okay. Got on the bus.
Yeah. $20 a week.
Well, that's something we'll, definitely take that in.
I still paying it. What's the use? You guys can reject it. My opinion. Go to Social Security and ask for help.
Okay.
Most people here are disabled or of debt. So many days I will come close. Oh, these things go higher. And they says, okay, we go to the Social Security. Why is Social Security gonna help out? That's one thing. Because most I rode on the bus, most people have low income, deaf, disabled, got that card. And pay for it. Why you can't work for that?
I wrote it down.
So does anyone have any surveys that they can turn in for us? So like I said, we're putting all that information in to the board, and we will. And if not, you can go online, fill one out. It will only let you fill out one from your computer, so I mean.
I don't have a computer.
Well, it only allow us to do the one for the 411 West, and not the 411C or the 412?
All of those will be on there.
They're already on.
Okay.
Yeah, all three of them.
So yeah, go ahead. One vote from your address that you're using. We figured that out because we were thinking, what if someone wants to just do surveys from now until whenever?
I checked the survey link.
Yeah.
Pretty much daily. I like to get on Insurance's website and see what's hiding underneath some tabs.
No, don't you Gail?
It's on the homepage.
Right?
Coming out.
And make copies of them, and take pictures and download. You know, I'm gonna make sure I have copies and they disappear. But, because there's a lot of people who might have who are here that might have input on 412, and that's why I was talking about the lack of advertising. Okay, when the advertisement is, when we choose what the general public should know, it normally doesn't end up well, you know?
Well, again, Gail, remember, it's in the paper. We did post it in the paper, so that's something
That
that
is, yeah.
most people, last time I think we posted on that, was it the public channel, or was it when we were talking about the 411?
Or whatever it is, yeah.
What if somebody lives in
Low income, some don't have computer access.
But what it won't be just these meetings this time, it'll be,
Yeah.
so the challenge will be, I've got supervisors that'll be going out with those surveys, trying to get them back right there. I don't want people to go home with them, because we'll never get them back. And I want that number to be like, the board knows that we owe, you know, over 200, 300 people. I mean, I wish we could do more, but the reality of surveys, and I want them to see that number, and so they'll be going out on those routes. The problem with the 412 is we're not doing that route. So I heard today, we're doing a meeting tomorrow, some of the people want us to do later, we're kind of posting off a schedule of certain people that want to be there, but, you know, we're gonna try to have, you know, enough to where we can at least catch everyone and you have the best. And you're right, not everybody has that. My mother, she wouldn't, you know, have access to that. She's in Illinois,
We have a
but
lot of clients.
you say internet. She's actually on Facebook, I believe. For her to be on that, it's amazing.
Come here, Sean.
I was going to show you this. She showed us sharing that. I don't know how that would work, and now I've come to the realization that I did it possibly quite wrong on that. And so this was really the part that we think we can financially sustain. But it's gonna be a while.
So you know about that, what we threw out there on that, so we have
Fall off.
I got you. Because, I mean, and trying to stream command.
Yeah.
This a lot of time for the bandwidth, we either have to up
Right.
and pay more for our bandwidth to add more cables. And then when they first put that system in,
It's not worth doing.
nobody was doing it, it was like half done.
Routes
So we went into the post, and we were running for our facility, everything was really good. I don't know, it's not enough to say that.
Yeah, it works well. This is the volume that pays that
They're
system.
talking about a fair
By the
system.
time we insect
You
it,
can't have a camera going offline and somebody's taking money in. So they're saying, this is what we need to get that up and running. Or what we
so,
just
I
threw
mean,
out there
there's
is
also
it's
some
gonna
passion,
cost
it'd
for
be
us
great
to,
to give the
you know,
exemption
grab a
and
system.
discount.
I have a home
But we can
for
discount
getting a system in my
ourselves
house, what's it gonna cost
Property,
to hook
yeah,
that,
right.
you know?
So I think we're gonna, I think.
So that's what I'm saying here.
We're gonna try to get some feedback.
I have
We'll
me
probably
too, I can see
go this
around
direction,
the
and then
corner and all that stuff, so we entertain that, that's probably like $3 if you wanna get the cameras, you know, the cameras, some of them I got, I don't know if it came back to me really seeing in the dark what was going on, then I have a couple that will light it up.
I just wanted you to know that what's on
So I
our
just need to
website.
replace all
So
the
if
other
you need to
ones,
direct
but that's what they need to do, is they need to get a system, you
And all
know,
those
that's,
links
and we knew that already, but we just
so
didn't know what the
on the
costs are,
website?
they wanted it on our
Like if I go to
existing
the website,
system,
it'll just pop
that's
up.
what we'll have to have.
No, you go.
I think they're kind
Isn't
of
there
more reserved to getting
Yeah.
that system, what's
Legislative
gonna work
content,
best
that'll
for
pop up.
that
And every
location, and we got the
Email
cameras
address
for-
on there
for,
is active, so if
Oh,
you
then you
click,
just click on it.
yeah, and it'll bring up an email.
So go ahead and add it, I mean, you know, that's what it would take to get that stuff
Yeah.
squared
With
away,
all of
but
them.
if we really had to do it, which
Some people say, oh, I got an email.
Which reading that way,
Yes, you want
we're gonna go.
I got the email my college VA,
It's
and
gonna
I'm
be
like,
tough,
oh,
you
yeah,
know. We'll do it.
Absolutely.
And then they send me an email going, hey, you need to, I'm like, I freaking emailed you yesterday.
You need to read.
Exactly, well, it's Embry-Riddle, so it's the volume of emails that I'm sure they get are insane.
And they've got some programs stuff, right?
Actually, yeah, they're always growing. I didn't even know they had a campus in Singapore. I was like, what? I was like, I would have stopped there.